Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Welcome to the Dads of Main Street, where four dads explore what it means to be present, passionate, and maybe a little obsessed with theme parks. We're talking fatherhood, fandom, mental health, park tips, and everything in between. From character breakfasts to real conversations about being better men and better dads, this is where magic meets real life. Welcome to the Dads of Main Street.
No matter how big you get, I am your father.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dads of Main Street. This is the podcast where four dads talk Disney parks, fatherhood, and finding meaning in the magic. So I'm Sean. I was once a cast member on the Davy Crockett Explorer Canoe. So basically Disney paid me to tell jokes, play in the water, and get a tan. And I got paid for it, so it's great. But let me introduce my buddies. Austin.
Hey, it's Austin here. My Disney fun fact is I actually share a birthday with the boss man, Mickey Mouse. November 18 is actually my birthday, so that's my fun one. And I got to hear one of these jokes one time, Sean, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Listen really intently. Listen, and you might hear a bear calling for his mom. Hey, Ma! Did you hear it? That's crazy.
I did.
Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Josh. I don't, for one, I guess I need to go on the canoes. It's probably been 30 years since I've raced. But my fun fact for the week is I counted, and I think I went to Disneyland 50 times last year.
That's solid.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
50. Whew. Man, that's awesome.
Good. And Marcus, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I'm regretting not going and doing the canoes while we were out in Disneyland this past spring. But fun fact for me, and you can believe this or not, but I bought a DVC contract and I stayed as a DVC member. Never ever went to Disney World as a non-member. Stayed at Disney World my first time ever as a Disney Vacation Club member. Honestly, I don't like to tell that story because it's kind of a crazy story, but that is my fun fact.
I love it.
Yeah, we got hooked into that.
I was that convinced that I would love it, and that's just where I'm at. And so, best decision I made, though, honestly.
I'm so glad you said that because I always felt like a weirdo because we actually bought a contract before we had gone as well.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. All right, well, that's our friends. We're so glad to have you here with us. Please make sure, if you're just finding us, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you get notified every time we have a new episode. We're really excited about today's episode. It's very important. It's not going to be the fun, happy, fun stuff, but it's a very important conversation because June is Men's Mental Health Month. And we wanted to make this a special day, take a moment to pause, have a genuine conversation, and just recognize that as much as we love churros and character meet and greets, there's a lot happening beneath the surface. And for many dads out there, it's a lot, including us. And so first, let's catch up with the boys and we'll get into the deep stuff. So first up, Marcus, you're traveling. Where are you at, buddy?
I'm in Mississippi this week, flew in Tennessee. Believe it or not, I actually have two Disney-related stories, if you can believe that. I'm getting on the plane today. I check into one terminal and I have to transfer to the other terminal. And I am on the subway, and I had read it once. I'm based in Houston. I don't know if I've established that, but I'm based in Houston, and I'd read it once. And come to find out that the Walt Disney World Company made another people mover, and it's the only one that's actually in public transit, and it is at the Houston airport. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's not as fun, right? You're going from Terminal A to Terminal C. Nowhere near as fun as riding around Tomorrowland. But no, yeah, I'm in Mississippi this week, traveling, trying to sell steel. I actually ran into a few Disney adults today, which is, believe it or not, that never happens in my industry. So yeah, it's been a day full of Disney when I was not expecting it, so I can't complain.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Josh, you up to anything cool this week?
This week we're kind of in a bit of a transition. Our kids go from regular school year finishing up to summer school. My daughter's starting at a new school, so we're kind of dealing with that. But maybe the biggest and saddest transition is that our magic keys are about to be blocked for 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's the doom and gloom time, buddy.
So we've got one more trip, my son and I, in a couple of days. we'll kind of do as much as we can, and then 2 months of darkness. So
Gotta find something to do with
you guys will
yourself.
be hearing a lot more from me because I'll be super
Oh,
bored.
great! Like we don't already. Great, that's awesome.
I love it.
And Austin, what do you have going on, man?
Well, actually, fun story. We went to the Sacramento County Fair this last week or week before that. And as we were leaving, something kind of like caught our eye at the main entrance, which the county fair is not the main state fair. It's just the side. So as we're driving by, I'm like, that looks familiar. So my wife and I just hang a hard left right in front of the traffic and pull up in front of these letters that spell out California. Come to find out, it's the original California Adventure letters donated from Disney in front of the Sacramento the fair. So we took all the selfies we could and got to like reminisce on the those letters being such an impact of our life at some point. And so man, it was cool. It made TikTok go crazy. So I was like, wow,
That's
look at how
awesome.
cool that was. So that was a fun little trip. We just happened to just catch it in the corner of our eye and decided, let's go check it out. And it was the OGs, man. The OGs. They're still looking good, by the way.
Good. I'm glad they're still in service somewhere. I kind of miss those things. That was the best thing about DCA at the time. I'd love seeing those big letters. Actually, that's when I worked there is when they were opening. And so when they unveiled like the big giant grand entrance, it was actually pretty cool to see California in big old letters.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, we went and took a picture with our letter. So I went and stood by A, and my wife stood by N, and we were happy.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm going to segue into kind of what I've got going on this week. Also segues into Dad Flex. Just talking about some things that we're proud of this week. I had the distinct honor of, so this month is also Pride Month, and it's something that we have never really been able to celebrate as a family. But we're very ingrained in the LGBTQ plus community. And past weekend, I got to march in the WeHo Pride Parade dressed as Red Guardian, which was awesome with the West Coast Avengers. But I got to do it with my daughter and my wife, which was so much fun. And just seeing like all the people that were just appreciating us being there to, support the community and, just put some smiles on faces. It was a really cool day. And just to be able to do that with my daughter was pretty rad.
Yeah, I think I saw you wearing like was it like a lei or some kind of like, wasn't that right? Or
yeah, I had a rainbow lei on, and then I had the pansexual flag was on my back. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Was it hot in the suit? I just got to know that question.
It was so hot. I was and this character is perfect for me to cosplay because I get really into the character. I'm very rambunctious already. And so being able to do that in a costume. So I'm running around the streets of West Hollywood and it was like 80 degrees and I'm wearing full leather costume and it's real leather. It doesn't breathe. And at one point somebody had taken a selfie. One of the audience members had taken a selfie with me and I looked in the camera and I was like, I am as red as my suit is. So it was pretty hot. It was pretty hot. Yeah.
I love it. That's
what
awesome.
other flexes do we have this week?
I'll go. My son, obviously you guys know, I just have a 1-year-old, but I was out barbecuing some steaks and he points up to the sky and it's the first time I think he's ever noticed the moon. So he had like a little proud moment where he was like, he just kept looking at my wife and I like, it's up there. And we're like, yeah, buddy, that's the moon. So it was such a cool little moment. And now like, things are starting to like recognize in his eyes. He had spaghetti tonight and he's like, my hands are red, like staring at him. I couldn't believe that his hands were red. He discovered a shadow this week. So there's a lot of these fun little moments are happening right now for him. And it warms my heart, man.
My daughter just saw the moon for the first time. She's like, what is that ball in the sky? And she's 16. So she's glaring at me right now, by the way. She's going to kill me.
Love it.
What other flexes we got this week? Josh, any or Marcus? Yeah, what do you got?
Go for it, Marcus.
Yeah. So we flew to Philadelphia this past weekend for a company outing, and we have mastered the flight from Houston to MCO because it is like 2.5 hours. Which, if you ask me, that is the absolute perfect flight time because you get up, they serve you a drink, you're out for like maybe 30 minutes, and then you're already like pulling up your thing because you're preparing to land and preparing the cabin. But like to fly to Philly from Houston, it's like 4.5 hours. And so like that is like another feat for my kids. So, I mean, they did great. Our bucket list is to get to Alani at some point.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
but that flight from LA to Alani is like, I don't know. I can't. We've done it before, but not to Alani. But we've gone to Hawaii, but that is what we're working towards. And so I'm hoping that eventually we will get there. But we took one step closer this week. Making that flight and getting through that.
There you go. Yeah, flights are hard.
Yeah, flights are
Hard
tough,
with
and
kids.
but that's good practice, because Aulani is like 6 hours from LA, so
Yeah.
it's a job.
Not only are you trying to entertain yourself, but you got your kids entertained too, and
Yeah.
that's
I
no
mean,
easy feat right there.
there's at one point I'd already taken my daughter to the bathroom twice, and I look up and we still have like an hour and a half to go. And I'm like, you gotta be
That's so funny. Josh, anything to share, man?
Yeah, again, kind of as our kids wrapped up school, my daughter just finished 4 years actually in a Spanish immersion program.
Oh,
So
Nice.
not only did her, little kind of 5-year-old group have their graduation, but she did a little speech in Spanish.
Whoa.
And for the whole year, even since last year when her class performed at the graduation ceremony for the last grade, she was like not interested at all in that thought. And it wasn't until last week when she saw her friends start to give the speeches, and I actually was the MC of the ceremony. Um,
no, nice man.
so I don't know if me being there pressured her or hopefully encouraged her, but she told her teacher she wanted to do it, and she knocked out of the park. We were so proud and impressed, and yeah, 5-year-old just memorizing her Spanish speech, and then the next day calling grandma and translating it from memory. Just
Wow.
blown away.
that's so cool.
We don't spend that much time with our kids day to day once they're in school, like each
Mm.
as far as hours in the day. So
Yeah,
to see such incredible like progress that I only sort of had a sense for was really fun.
Oh
that's
That's
man.
so
awesome,
cool,
man.
man.
Yeah,
Proud moment
Good
right there
job,
for
yeah.
dude.
sure.
She already
That's
knows way
great,
more
man.
Spanish than I do. So.
Does anybody
Uh
speak Spanish in the family?
Not really.
No,
Well, she's already like our best Spanish
it's
speaker
just
at
her
five
now.
years. Yeah, she does. Yeah,
A little Duolingo running around the
yeah.
house. That's awesome. Well,
Love
cool.
it.
Those are all really good flexes, and it really ties into this whole theme of mental health. So as I said, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to just take some time to kind of discuss our own mental health journeys, what it means to show up emotionally for our families, and how we're trying to kind of rewrite what strength looks like. Of course, we'll explore how places like Disneyland can bring comfort, joy, and even healing in unexpected ways. So, everybody grab a snack, check in with yourself, and let's get into it. So, first, I want to acknowledge there's this stigma, right? Men are often taught to man up, shake it off, rub some dirt on it, be the rock. And we've all been taught that this topic is off limits. But, it matters just as much to dads as it does anyone else on this planet. And for park goers like us, sometimes we do escape to the parks to feel maybe safe, reconnect, regulate a little bit. I myself have suffered from mental health issues my entire life. So bipolar disorder, anxiety, depression, ADHD, even sexual identity. And I've had occasions, moments of I don't say moments of weakness because it is who I am. I've had occasional feelings that I don't have the strength to even continue living, and that's a tough thing. That's something hard to deal with. Even today, I'm faced with the harsh reality that sometimes I have to be the one that holds things together in the house, and even when the walls are crumbling around me, I've got to be strong, and that's a really lonely and scary place. And so, I just want to ask the group: have you ever felt pressure to be the strong one, even when you're falling apart?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I think for me, like that's sometimes like I think my biggest struggle is like, yeah, I travel obviously for work. I have to leave the kids, right? My wife's there by herself, with them, managing it all herself. And so I know it's not easy. And I mean, and my wife struggles at times, I mean, I think everyone does to an extent, right? I don't think anyone's immune to it. I think even the ones that who say they are probably don't know enough to know that they probably are struggling in their own way. I mean, I would say I'm probably in that boat myself. I've come a long way on this topic just by, kind of being a lot more aware of of the loved ones I know who suffer from it, and like kind of self-reflecting on myself. But
Hmm.
yeah, in terms of like shouldering that, there are times where everyone else is just struggling, and you can't really afford to, right? You have to be the person that like kind of hold like the glue, essentially, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my wife is the glue as well, but sometimes I think it just sometimes falls. You just have to, and it's tough, man. You're right, it is hard because you want to, you want to be that rock for your wife, and you obviously want to be able to like, not see your kids, see everyone struggling, right? I mean, it's just a challenge. Yeah, I'm with you, man, 100%.
Yeah.
I think I would go, you know, if, as you guys get to know me, I'm very Ted Lasso. I'm always going to try and spin it to be as positive as possible. I always look for the good in people. Like, I legit just try my hardest to bring like just a little bit of light in this world. But I think that comes as a double-edged sword, because when I do have my moments, it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you having an issue right now? You're not allowed to have an issue. So it's like a stigma that I've given myself just by being that positive person, and having to weigh that on my shoulders at times really sucks, like, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think and maybe this is just, we're having an open platform. That's where I maybe lean to alcohol more,
Sure.
and
Sure.
I just really try to, drink it away and be okay. And I mean, we're definitely dabbling in some serious topics now, but just to be frank with you guys, like that's something that I do. I go to alcohol, I go to that. That doesn't change my demeanor. I think it just washes away my day, is what I think it is. But it can be a problem, right? If I just keep going and I just pushing through that. So that's something that I'm working on. And I think, as part of just mental health anyway, it's always a work in progress.
Yeah. And the awareness is really important. And
For sure.
That's the most important part. Yeah.
For sure. I think there's only been a few times in my life that I've really had like where I felt completely lost. And I think we could get into like my teenage years when my parents divorced, and my mom and I lost our house, and I had to move in with my sister. And I remember just laying in that bed and crying, like, I don't have a home. I don't have a home to go back to. It's no longer my home and everything like that. And probably for 2 years, I had to jump house to house. And it was not fun. I think I moved like 9 times in 2 years. So
Wow.
I think I try to push that stigma that like, hey, life's shitty. Like it is, like, right. But my double-edged sword is I'm always trying to be positive through it. But when I have those moments of weakness, it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, that's not you. And so it comes off as maybe brash, and people are like afraid to talk about it when, it shouldn't be. And I'm a hugger too. I'm a big time hugger.
Yeah.
When people are struggling, I'm going to come give you a hug. So
For sure.
my topic kind of right here is all over the place, but I just always push for the good. I know, it's not easy. It really isn't. Life is not easy, but I think I always just try to be that Ted Lasso and be like, hey, we can get through this together. It's no problem,
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And, that always, for me, from my perspective, just because I know how I am, I do that same exact thing, but mine is a mask. Like, mine is very much like I'm faking it to make sure that everybody else around me is okay. And, and that in itself is exhausting. So, I guess my comment on that is like more like cautionary of like, make sure that it's like, you're not just hiding things and tucking it down. And because that's where things can get a little bit messy. You know what I mean? Because I know how exhausting a mask can be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That really rings true for me. I think for kind of going back to your Red Guardian reference, Sean, in Thunderbolts, Yelena's kind of joke, but halfway serious. When you're struggling with something, just push it down. Just keep pushing it down and don't let it, get to the surface.
Yeah.
And I struggled and continue to struggle with holding things in. I think it's a mix of a lot of things, but part of it is not being comfortable sharing enough at times.
Yeah.
Or if I do share, I'm like, am I sharing too much? Do the people I'm sharing with even care to hear what I'm dealing with? Am I burdening them by you know, dumping things on them. Um, am I present enough with my family? Like, do I push it down so that I can at least be, what they need in that moment? But then I never can get caught up, right? I'm always like out of breath. I feel like
Yeah.
I never can quite get caught up. Um, and then that leads into I don't sleep enough. I go to bed
Mm-hmm.
super late. I wake up tired, but I need to be present and on to get my kids out the door and to school, and I really prioritize trying to be present for them. Like I
Yeah.
do school drop off, I do school pickup. If I have to miss a practice or a sporting event or anything, like it eats away at me. Um, but like I just feel like I get stretched too thin at times. And again, it
Yeah.
goes back to like, man, I'm always catching my breath, always trying to catch up. So that's what I deal with probably the most and like very frequently is trying to do so many different things at once. Go, go, go. And I could be a blob on a couch for an afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not refreshing. I'm not better afterwards. It's just a
Yeah.
pause. And then I get back to, all the stuff I have to deal with. So yeah, it's tough.
Is that our stigma though as men? Like we're gonna internalize it, right? I
Yeah.
think that's just our natural instinct, and it's the hardest part. I think all your thoughts and your emotions, Josh, that you're feeling of like, am I overburdening? Am I telling too much? Am I telling too little? Like, do they even care? Like, I think all of us struggle with those thoughts, and I think that's what makes it hard to open up because our brains
Yeah.
just go there, right? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, but
I've been trying to, I'll go back to the yelling a joke, push it down, push it way down. I've been trying to not do that so much and more, but sometimes you have to like put it away, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're not like tucking it down to where it never comes back out unless it's like in a really negative way, but maybe you just like put it away for a little bit, make sure you can like wrap your head around the situation and kind of like internalize it a little bit but also give it some like sensibility and some thought so that you can respond in a better way. I've had an issue my whole life with like regulating emotions just because of all the things that I've afflicted with and anger is one of those things, and so like I try my hardest. I genuinely do try to not let things come out in anger, and so like maybe I'll start and I'll just kind of sit back and think about it. And something that's been helping me a lot lately, and this sounds terrible, but like if there's a conflict, like I've been leaning on like text messaging and writing letters lately instead of like just blurting out everything I'm feeling at the moment because it might come off negatively or more harsh than I want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been like doing I've been trying to be a little bit more intentional about like jotting my feelings down instead of just like blurting them out. So instead of tucking them down, I'm putting them away for a minute while I can kind of sensibly get them out in a more positive way.
Yeah.
But being a dad, it comes with a weight that's really hard to explain, but there's this pressure to provide, protect, be the steady one, and things might not feel steady for you. We're carrying that emotional responsibility that often goes unspoken, and if you grew up a lot like a lot of us did, you probably weren't taught how to talk about your feelings, prioritize feelings, make sense of them, and add that to the constant pressure of keeping your family happy, especially in a place like, when we're out at Disneyland, things happen. People step on your foot, run into you with a stroller, or they're cussing too loud in the queue or jumping over. I am a rule stickler, and anytime somebody breaks a rule, I lose my mind. And so like,
Mind
there's,
cutting.
I can't stand it. And so like, you're in this place where everybody's expecting magic, but it can get heavy sometimes. And so there are definitely days when I'm walking through the park surrounded by joy, but inside I feel just so disconnected, so overwhelmed. And it's like the magic just doesn't land. So I want to open this part up of, was there ever a park moment when the magic just didn't work because of where your head was at?
Oh, mine was super recently. It was the first day of the 70th celebration, so we're talking just a few weeks ago. Sean, I think I saw you that night on our way out.
Yeah. Yes.
I was like a sweaty, stressed mess. I'm like, all right, dude, like, hey, I gotta like, I'm out of here. Yeah, I had the perfect day planned. Was meeting up with some people I work with for the travel agency stuff I do, and I had my list of all the foods to try. And I'm someone who's like, I might not go on one ride, even if I'm here 12 hours, and I'm totally good with that because I've got so many other things I want to do. I've got to get months worth of content, so it looks like I'm at the parks every week, even when I'm sitting at home for 8 weeks straight.
That's pressure, man.
Yeah.
And then it turned out half my day literally was sitting or hovering in a spot so that my kids could see Paint the Night for the first time.
Yeah.
And I put this on myself, and I said, I'm going to make sure my kids get the best view for their first Paint the Night parade.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Oh.
And I spent hours in the beating sun. Everyone's hanging out in the shade, just kind of waiting. I'm like sitting in the sun. When security came over, I would stand up, I'd talk to them, I'd move. And then as time get closer, more people were coming around, and security kind of gave up trying to handle it. And the perfect spot I had got taken. And I'm like, well, that sucks. And it's like, I had this plan for this perfect magical day, and it's like, oh, that day just like kind of got ruined. But that's only because of the expectations I set, not because my kids needed to sit there, not because, you know, the food I tried didn't look as photogenic as I hoped it would, you know, all these stupid things that I set high. That's just unrealistic and like not fair to myself or my family or anyone. And ultimately, like, I had a great conversation with a cast member. They found my family in the back of the crowd right before the parade started, and they moved us to a spot where our kids could see.
Oh,
So like there was still like, you know, the little nugget. So I walked away like, okay, like that was good. And my kids stayed awake, and they got to see the fireworks too. And I got to hold my son as Mac in the parade drove by, and like,
best.
I will remember those things. But the overall day is like scarred on me, at least now, because it's still so recent, that it like was not magical at all until like the little thing at the end. So it's like, still can't wait to go back. But oh man,
I gotta say, like, being at Disney World when like, and it's just not, it is like, that is like the weirdest like experience. Like, so we like got into like really got into the parks like in 22, because that was when we started going. And I'll be honest, like, I think a lot of my stress and mental health and anxiety that I deal with is more about just like the fact that I have young kids in this world. I'm not trying to like take it to that, but it's scary, man. Like, it's just like, I remember thinking as a kid, like, man, like I used to think like, oh, well, my kids will grow up. I'll have like all these things that you just thought like this is going to happen. Right. And like, it is insane to like, to live and like not even know if that's, it sounds crazy, but you're just like, what you used to think is be a given, you don't think like that, right? And so we have been at the park so many times in the last 3 years where something chaotic is going on outside, like and it is like the strangest thing to be at Magic Kingdom, where it is like all supposed to be fun, and like, you know, there's like all this outside stuff going on. Like, you know, there was, I think one of the times we were there was like a bank run where all of a sudden everyone, when Sam Bankman-Fried, whatever, and people were worried about like the banks, you know, your money not being in the bank. And then we were there when Donald Trump was almost assassinated. So it's like, you know, all these different things of like, and obviously a lot of my stress and anxiety is tied to real world events, because that's, it's tied to my kids and their safety and like what their life's going to be like. And like, it is like the strangest, like, it is like you're like in like just two different like parallels where you have this heavy consumerism, very like, you know, it's all like, you got the music, everyone's smiling, but you know, internally you're like worried about what's going on the outside of Magic Kingdom, and it's just hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I think my biggest, so I haven't done anything as a dad yet. We'll have to follow back up after December when I do the first trip. But the things that just irk me and just to my core, and you guys are going to laugh at this one, is people with zero spatial awareness whenever we're walking in Disneyland.
This could be a whole episode, brother.
Oh my God. Like, it's a 10 deep family too. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, let's stop right in the middle in front of you
Yeah.
people. And
Yeah.
I actually saw a reel where someone was like, things that bother you at Disney. And it was just people stopping in front of you. Like, just having to, like, I wish, and maybe you guys can just like, you know, feel this way too, but I just wish I could be in that kind of a Disney bubble where everything doesn't matter. I'm just going to stop where I want to stop and look at things, but I just can't. That's not my brain. I can't do that. I'm like, okay, let's get out of their way and then we'll look at this, right? Like, it's never like, I'm just going to stop right here, right in the middle of the road, and you guys can all run into me. So I don't have that big of a thing yet. I can't wait to have one, because then I'm sure I'll have one, but we'll have to follow back up in December for this. So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, my big one was just this past weekend, or not weekend, I guess it was Friday, maybe. Whenever we went, it was a grad night. Let me tell you, if you folks have not been to Disneyland on a grad night, I don't recommend you start doing it this year, because it was a nightmare. I have a problem with. I always joke that I don't like teenagers. But really, I don't like teenagers' parents because a lot of them didn't teach them how to act right. My daughter, I think I've done a pretty good job of teaching her, you know, spatial awareness and respect in public areas and things like that, because she'll look at these folks and be like, who raised you? You know, but we were there the other night, and we had a really, and it was kind of a bummer, because we had a really great experience. So we went over to Avengers Campus, and I always look for Thor. I have a whole story behind it, but I always look for Thor. And so we were walking over by the Sanctum, and Thor was doing a meet and greet. So we started walking in, and the cast member was like, "Oh, he's, you know, the line's cut off for now. He's going to be leaving here in a minute." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no big deal." And I look in, and it was my friend Thor, you know, and I'm like, "Oh, you know, hey, it's Thor." Luckily, he looked over and he saw me, and he said, "Wait right there." And I was like, "You got it." And so I waited for him, and he walked over, and we had a really great experience. Like, he's like, "Where are you headed?" And I was like, "Oh, Kenzie wants to go on Guardians of the Galaxy." He's like, "Let me walk you over." And so we started walking over there. We're just doing our, you know, banter back and forth about, you know, Midworld and blah, blah, blah. And he gets us over to Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's like, "You're going to wait 120 minutes for Guardians of the Galaxy to see that raccoon or that rabbit?" And I was like, "Well," and he's like, "I have my own lightning lane." And he walked over to a cast member, and he said, "Hey, let these three on."
Man.
And it was the most amazing experience. And I was just like so excited. And then we got into the queue, and there was a group of literally 15 teenage boys acting like complete pieces of trash, screaming over the pre-show, talking. They were talking trash about me, because I was like staring at them weird, because they just would not shut up. Luckily, we didn't get put on an elevator with them, but it was one of those moments where I was just like, you know, I have really bad sensory issues, and so like when there's too much noise going on at one time, it really ruins my vibe. And so that moment, the magic was not enough. It was just like, I can't get past this. And so we went on the ride, we got off, and we ended up going and having a really good night for the rest of the day. But it was just like, there are so many times where like, I've got, you know, I have deadlines at work, and I'm really nervous about losing my job because I'm in a really crappy industry, and there's all these things going on. And then on top of that, I got to deal with grad night. You know, I'm like, come on, this is supposed to be my happy place. And so I get it. You know, sometimes the magic just isn't enough. And, you know, I think something that we don't talk about, though, is how the parks can actually be part of our mental health journey. It's part of our toolkit. Like, yes, you know, it's fun, it's nostalgic, it's magical, but a lot of us, you know, it might be a reset button. And so I've been trying to use it as that, something that, you know, there's something about walking through the gates and hearing the music, smelling the popcorn, seeing people smile. It, you know, it lets you breathe a little bit deeper. And, you know, some people call it escapism, and that's fine. I'll deal with that. I'll take that all day long. But sometimes it's the only place where I can really allow myself to kind of like be present, you know. I can turn off all the noise. I can turn off the sound sometimes, and just kind of be present. But that presence, the joy, it's regulating, it's healing sometimes. And there's moments when life feels really chaotic, and you're carrying too much, but you can kind of walk in, you hear that music, and you're taken back to a time where, you know, Walt Disney walked the park, and he built this place because it was supposed to be something special. So whether it's the comfort of nostalgia or the quiet peace, riding the same ride for the 100th time, it means something. And so I'll ask you guys, how does the park, obviously, Marcus, you're in world, we're in land, but how do these parks help you kind of like reset mentally, even just for that day?
Sean, this has like been cathartic for me, honestly, just doing this podcast. Because, like I said, like I think in terms of like where I'm at, like in my journey, I would say that I've been fortunate in terms of like where, like but I am starting to realize that I deal with it more than maybe I've thought, right? And so like I said, I went to Disney World for the first time at 22, and it's become like this obsession for me. And
Yeah.
and I'm a very rational person at the end of the day. Like I'm very like I like to think that I'm very lot, and so I haven't really been able to understand like why I'm just so obsessed with this place. And I tell people all the time, it's like like some of my favorite. And I think we talked about it last time. But some of my favorite moments is when it's just simple. And like we have a lot of those moments at home, but it just for some reason when I'm at Disney World, which is actually crazy because there's even more people at Disney World, it is like, but I just am able to just like, I'm just not concerned about all the stresses of like of everything you just said, right? And it's just, I don't know, it is. Like I said, I'm over here almost like speechless because I feel like this has been very helpful. And again, I think it's important just to, and that's one thing I want to touch on. I think there needs to be a lot more communication because there are people who maybe like have experienced it or just aren't educated enough to know that they are, right? And then knowing how to like communicate with those who are dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, for me, the parks, it's definitely it's feeling like I'm not worried about work. Just the simplicity. It sounds wild, but just the simplicity of just being there. There's nothing else we have planned. It's magical, man. It's like, it's why we continue to go back and want to go back and want to go back. So,
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't think I think the escapism part is like what's so great about it, because otherwise I can't escape from certain things. Like I don't clock in and out of work. I'm kind of always on, right? So unless I'm able to be distracted by Mickey and his friends, I always have something dealing with work in the back of my head, or
Yeah.
the piles of laundry upstairs that I don't help enough with, or whatever it may be. So whether I'm in the parks with my kids and we're walking in and I'm peeking in the stroller to make sure my son can see Mickey, or I'm
Yeah.
just by myself playing hooky and I'm also like, oh look, to myself, oh look, there's Mickey. It doesn't matter who I'm there with or how long I'm there or what my goals are or thoughts for an ideal day. Just being there is like an automatic like boost. If I'm here, as soon as I walk in, like you said, John, I'm there.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the escapism. I wish I could be there every day.
Yeah.
To continue on escapism, I mean, I think it really is, honestly. Let's just go back to COVID, that shutdown year.
Oh, jeez.
And I mean, escapism right there of how crappy everything was. My wife and I drove 4 hours just to be in downtown Disney. Like that was it. Like just to be there. I mean, the gates were closed, but to get that little bit of magic and some Napolini pizza, which is my absolute freaking favorite pizza in the world. So I will drive everywhere. If they made that anywhere else, it'd be screwed. But anyway, so just to downtown Disney just for that, just to get that escapism from, man, life sucks right now, but gosh, just that little bit of Disney is just what you need. During those rough times of my life, I actually had an annual pass at that time, and my best, and living 4 hours away, I thought 24 visits was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So in a year, I that was on my list. But again, everything was just rough at that time, but to get that escapism and just like I went there for lunch just because I knew I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that you local guys probably you do a lot more, but like just to drive and be down there and just go sit and have lunch and just hear the music and feel that just raw energy there that you feel, it's just so needed in our life. And yeah, seeing that castle and smelling the smells and seeing the characters and riding the rides, like it's therapy, honestly, for all of us, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I actually renewed my annual passes tonight, and like I'm not there, but I got like just like this, it was comforting just knowing that hey, I got these, right? We have these, like, we can, if we want to go to the parks within the next year, minus our blockout dates, we can go, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we got to get there, but just knowing that it's an option, just brings a little bit of kind of relief.
Yeah, because with our path, well, so COVID was the worst.
Worst.
That was the
The
darkest
worst.
time of our lives. I mean, and I laugh it off, but it was true because we
Yeah.
couldn't go to this place that we love and our escape. We couldn't do that anymore. And even now, post COVID, with the reservation system, I can't just pop in when I want to anymore. There were times where it was like Friday night after work, let's just go pop in, or Wednesday afternoon, like, oh, we don't have anything going on, let's just go grab some lunch. We can't do that anymore. We have to be really intentional about our reservations and how many days we've got booked already. So it is a little bit more difficult, but like, there's something to be said about like just being able to just go, and I miss that a lot. Kind of shifting gears. So, for me, I know, but for a lot of us growing up, emotions weren't really a thing that you were supposed to talk about, and especially as boys. I got called some really ugly names by my stepdad, who was a piece of trash. And so, you hear these things about like, boys are supposed to be tough, shake it off, stop crying. And, even now as grown men and as dads, that mindset kind of sticks with us. And, there's some things that I still can't let go of that I need to remind myself, like, that's not a thing, and sometimes we don't even realize it, but the truth is strength and sensitivity aren't opposites. That's something I'm really learning as a 45-year-old man now. Real strength, I think, is being able to sit down with your feelings, talk about them, cry, make space for your kids, so that they can do the same thing. But that's something a lot of us are still learning, and we're trying to rewrite that, that story of what masculinity looks like, not just for ourselves, but for, people that we, I don't have a son, I've got a daughter, but, I have a nephew, and I don't want him thinking like, oh, boys don't cry and boys aren't allowed to feel things. I want these guys, these young guys to know that like, it's okay to feel your feelings. And it's hard work, but it matters. So let me throw this part out here. So what would you say to maybe another dad who's clearly struggling but won't open up?
Oh man,
it's not an easy question, but I think it's an important one.
I think
definitely
being willing to like open up first. I think the biggest thing I've learned, whether it's from stuff from being a dad or early on in marriage or whatever it may be, like the most comforting thing and like most welcoming thing was hearing other people go through similar situations that I'm going through. And I only knew that because they were willing to share. Mm-hmm. So now that I've had enough of those good examples and, people who are willing to do that for me, hopefully it was cathartic for them. And now I can in turn maybe open up myself a little bit more in hopes to show that my other buddy, that it's okay.
Yeah.
I've got some dads in a group chat of mine, and our main thing is like fantasy sports. These are friends I've had for 25 years, and every year or two we go to a baseball game, and that's kind of it. But our text chat is going daily, but it's never anything serious.
Mm-hmm.
It's never anything of quality. But we went to a game last week, and I got to connect with a few of them in person I hadn't seen in a long time, and some of them are new dads. And not that I'm this like super long-term vet, but I've been through the ringer at least a handful of years and with multiple kids, and I like tried to overdo it with the like, I'm a proud dad on my arm. Like, it's okay to have that be a big part of your life and be important. So
yeah,
and I could tell that they're still navigating that, but I tried to at least open those conversations up that maybe they don't have with other people as much.
Yeah, sometimes it might turn into like, oh shit, he's telling me this, I could probably tell him this.
Like
that's
one
great.
of them asked me for a stroller recommendation and he asked me for input on his son's name as they're in the hospital for their second kid. But that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have like some like vulnerable moments at times in the past year or two that we otherwise wouldn't have had in the group chat of 10 guys or whatever it may be. So I think putting yourself out there is a great way to hopefully let someone else know that they also can do the same.
Yeah.
I being on the other side where I am the new dad, I think the biggest part was giving so much crap to some of my friends that became dads. And then I'm like, you guys disappeared. You disappeared. And then all of a sudden I have a kid and I'm like, oh, I was writing so many apology texts. Like, I am so sorry I ever gave you crap. Like, I get it. Like, being with your kids is the absolute greatest thing in my opinion. I think trying to show that to like a dad or a new dad, like, hey, don't let there's those types of dads that are like, ugh, like my kid's such a burden. I've got to do this and I've got to do this and I've got to do this. And my kid's now doing this. And I'm like, gosh, like you just don't see it. You don't see like half the time I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this little thing happened because of 10 seconds of great fun. But like, holy crap. Like we have a
10 seconds
and he looks like me. What?
That's a lot.
Whoa.
10 seconds. Jeez.
I mean, I'm sorry, 8.5. I'm sorry. I rounded up to feel better. Okay.
I was like, teach me.
But I love it. But like that's my favorite thing. Like he shows little bits of me and shows little bits of his mom and like, how can you not be excited about that? And like I said, like he pointed at the moon, like big deal. He pointed at the moon, but holy crap, my son actually recognized something other than, right now it's Blue's Clues. Unfortunately, no Disney.
Oh, man.
But I think the biggest thing is being that, like I said earlier, like being positive about it. A lot of guys give off that negative connotation, like, yeah, that's my kids, like not, and I don't get that. How can you not be proud of your kid?
I'll never understand that point of view. Never.
Me either. And, I think that maybe sharing some of your instances with your kid, like there's a guy at my work that doesn't say but 5 words a day. And I try to do multiple different angles to get him to speak more to me. And like today I showed him my son and he's like, whoa, that's actually really cool. Like he actually like pointed at the moon. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was so stoked about it. So, there's multiple avenues to get people to open up. I've been told at work that I'm very good at opening, connecting with people. So I think honestly, just finding that middle ground is the hardest thing. But when you do, you could get people to open up a lot more. Being honest and open yourself is definitely the way to do it. I agree with you, Josh, 100%.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think just meeting people where they're at. I think that's obviously. I tend to wear my emotions on my sleeves. That's just who I am. I mean, I think I would imagine most of us are like that. I would be willing to bet that we're all kind of like that in our own way. And I think that's been helpful. Honestly, I think I don't know. And that's what I would recommend. That's what I try to do. I mean, it's obviously been beneficial for me, just people just being vulnerable. I mean, I think there's so much, that just comes from just being open, being vulnerable. And again, like I said, Sean, I mean, I really do mean it. You just talking about it's been helpful for me, man. Like I said, this has been, helpful for me just having this conversation because I think it's just important that people, are just vulnerable. Just show where you're at, and I think people are willing to meet you there. So,
yeah, and same with me, man. Like you'll always know where I'm at. Like I'm an emotional person. Some I wish I could hide. Some I'm fine with not. But I wear every emotion on my face. I've got that face that tells every secret I've got. And so it's, I don't hide the fact that I'm, happy, sad, crying, whatever. And I'm trying to teach, I try to teach my daughter, Kenzie's 16 now. And I think that I'm trying to teach her things about emotions that I wasn't taught myself. Like crying was not okay because I was a boy. Saying I love you in my house was not a really big thing. Like I can't remember times where I was just like, oh my gosh, my mom loves me so much, or definitely not my dad. And so like in our household, we say I love you a million times a day, and it never loses its meaning. It's just we say it when we feel it, and I think that that's okay. And so there's something we said about teaching your kids about emotions that you weren't taught yourself, and that's kind of I'm in a different position than all of you because my daughter's a lot older than your kids. And so that would be, I don't know, my advice to anybody is just like, even if it wasn't a big deal in your house, growing up, it can be a big deal in the house that you're creating, you know, so just talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to go awesome, like I keep going back to, your son pointing out the moon, right? And like how exciting that is. And he's like going to be in such a sponge phase. You're going to start to, like, I remember like, man, I can't wait till my kids in the back seat can start talking and like, I can hear all the things they're seeing and, out the window. And now I'm like, guys, can you just like cool it for like 1 second? But, to Sean, to your point, like, I'm realizing more and more like the positive things that we are ingraining in our kids, whether we mean to or not.
Yeah.
I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they share a room, and they've always gone to the same school. And again, they're in the car together, and I'm trying to get them dressed and to eat their breakfast, and they're just like rolling around, hugging on the floor. Like they're just wrestling, and like they can't keep their hands off each other. It's the best, and it's stressful, and it's the most beautiful thing. But I'm realizing like, oh, my 2-year-old son is starting to repeat things that like I say to my daughter and we say back.
Mm-hmm.
But good and bad. But things like this morning, he said, "Daddy, I missed you all night." Like just from when he fell asleep to when he woke up. And that's just something that my daughter and I will say like, "Oh, I missed you," or, "Missed you all day at school." And like whether he knows or even realizes what he's saying, like I'm like, oh, like he's picking those things up. So even when I am feeling like, oh shit, like I did something not ideal, or I wish I could have done something better, it's like, okay, the positive stuff is what's sticking, and just being there and them wanting to see you, like is just, it makes it all okay.
Sean, hold on 1 second.
No,
Do we all have in the back of our mind from our childhood or growing up, I'm not going to be like etc. I'm not going to be like X. I'm not going to be like Y. Or this is how I was treated, and I will never do that to my kids. I mean, I know that is always in the back of my mind. Of things, and do you guys all have that too? That constant. It's constant. Yes. It's always in the back of my mind.
Yeah. I listen. I am the farthest thing from the perfect parent. Like I try to be the best dad that I can be every day, and that's all I can ever do. And I think that my daughter appreciates my parenting style mostly. But everything that I learned about parenting is the opposite of what my parents did, basically.
Yeah, there's nothing like that will get underneath my skin. If someone tells you that I'm acting like my dad, like, oh man, like that,
that'd be an insult for me. Yeah,
that will send me off, man. Like that is, and believe me, like I think relative to most dads, I think my dad was a good dad, but there are things that like I have yet to forgive him about, and so like, and we're just very different people, and so yeah, there is nothing worse that's a trigger for me for sure.
Yeah. I think that was a very important conversation. I thank you guys this is a hard thing to do. Like, even though I'm an open book to most people. Like I'll talk to anybody about this kind of thing because I think it's important, but I can't expect everybody to be that way. So the fact that you guys were so willing to just be open and be like humans for the past, hour, like that's super special. But, and thank you so much for having this conversation. And I hope that people find some value in this. But before we wrap up, I did want to leave everybody with some key takeaways because talking about mental health is only the first step. And so if there's someone in your life that you haven't heard from in a while, especially the ones who always seem to have it all together, we don't, check in on them. The strong ones are often the ones that are silently carrying this crazy load that you would never even imagine. And so if that person is you, if you're listening to this and you feel that you've been holding it all in, know that you're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You're just a human being. So don't be too hard on yourself. There are some real tools out there for, help, talk therapy, journaling, group chats with other dads, like Josh said, support groups, medication, whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be the one size fits all. Hell, shoot us a DM. We'll talk it out with you. That's awesome. But we all talk about the basic things. We all talk about getting oil changes, counting macros for the food that you're eating, for whatever your diet is, tracking steps when you go to Disneyland. Mental health deserves that same kind of regular maintenance. It's not a one and done thing. It's something that we need to check in on consistently. So please just take care of yourself. If you need somewhere to start, here are some mental health resources that we recommend. Don't worry, we're going to put these in the links of the episode description. BetterHelp, they offer online therapy with licensed professionals. NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, they've got support groups, educational materials, helplines, even your local community clinics and hotlines in your area. And please, I beg you, and this is super important, if you or someone you know is having thoughts of self-harm, suicide, or homicide, please dial 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Although it may not feel like it, the world is much better with you in it. Again, we'll have links in our bio for all of those resources. And just remember, reaching out for help isn't a sign of failure. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. That's a very hard thing to do, and we'd be proud of you for doing it. You can't pour from an empty cup, and your family needs the best version of you, not just the most exhausted one. So let's keep showing up for each other. And that's all I have to say on that. Let's maybe lighten the mood a little bit here. Go ahead, Austin.
Hey, I just want to say, well, first off, like, amazing job between you three, and I just want to say, like, I think this brought us all closer together.
Absolutely,
a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Would agree.
So, for those listening, this is probably literally our second time having a conversation together, other than me getting crapped on for having an Android and everyone's an iPhone.
Yeah, we found that out today.
We're not going to talk about that.
We found that out today.
Yeah, I definitely ruined that. But anyway, so to lighten up the mood a little bit, I'm going to ask just one simple question compiled into two questions. So it's not that simple.
Okay.
So anyway, so like what got you here? What made you, become like a Disney influencer? Like, what was the first step? Like, I want to start with Marcus just because what made you think one day, like, I'm going to make funny reels about Disney stuff and about, like, these conversations I have to have with my wife to sell her on the fact that we're going to Disney. Like, is it actually like that in the household, or are you just clowning around and, doing that? Your wife's actually full on board.
No, I mean, it's probably give and take. I honestly, if I'm being totally honest, like, my goal when I first started the page was to help subsidize my Disney obsession, right? That's where it started for me. I mean, if I'm being honest, but honestly, it has grown to something that is much bigger than that. Like again, and I think it's brought me, to meet you guys. Without sounding corny, like, it is like serving a bigger purpose now. It's like, the videos that I make, whether I'm wearing a wig or I'm, dressed as some ridiculous character, to me, I am just trying to go out there, make people laugh. I mean, that's obviously my goal. But also, like, just to show my kids that, you could do something, just to embrace who you are, whether you're goofy or whatever. It's, like I said, it's become more, it's become bigger than what it started as. And I mean, I'm enjoying it. I've met so many people. Like, I didn't think that it would be a two-way street. I didn't know what it would be, but, I thought that I would get all this feedback from people and that would be the end of it. But I have really enjoyed the relationships that I've built with other creators, with other people who just follow me that aren't creating. Like, it is awesome. Like, I had a lot of friends growing up, but man, my core friends now are all my Disney friends. It's crazy, man. Like, I mean, people I went to college with, people I went to high school with, like, I don't know who those people are because it's all my Disney friends that I have met, and I don't know. It's wild, man. It's something bigger than it was when it started. So
that's awesome.
I love it. All right, go. We're just shotgunning. Go
for it, Sean.
Okay, so I think a lot of mine came from wanting to be an anti-influencer, honestly.
Okay.
So my family and I were kind of like, we were going to Disneyland a lot. I mean, in our first year as pass holders, I think we went almost 100 times. Awesome. Back then you could see how many times you went, and it was nearing 100. And it was something we were always talking about. We always had a story about the park. We were always trying some new food or whatever the new thing was, seeing a new parade. And so we were talking about it a lot, like at work or with our friends. And so we kind of had this like epiphany of like, hey, we're talking about this a bunch. Let's start a podcast. So we did that thing and we got a little bit of steam and it was doing really well. And then COVID hit and then it fell off the face of the earth. And when we kind of came back and we're like, hey, let's do this again, we were putting more effort into like Instagram and more effort into the YouTube channel than we were the actual podcast. And a lot of my motivation was I'm so sick and tired of the fake reviews about food, the fake reviews about the drinks, the fake reviews about everything that's going on, and everything is like, oh my gosh, Disney's the most amazing, and blah. And it was just like, it's so saturated with the influencers, and it was like, I was so sick of it that I was like, you know what? Let's just go tell our real stories. Let's go talk about the food that we're eating and how good or gross it was, the drinks that we're drinking and how good or gross they are. Let's talk about the rides we're going on. And so it turned into this thing of like, let's do videos. Well, we also didn't want to be the people in the parks with the big rigs and like, we never treat the parks like it's our personal video studio. That's something that really gets on my nerves. And so we got this little pocket camera and we just kind of record what we're doing. And sometimes that's just us eating food for an hour. And, we cut it up a little bit, but it's a lot of like going to the parks with your friends. So we invite you to come and just be our friends for, whatever the 30 minutes that we have in our last trip segment, So we're kind of the anti-influencers. I'm not into the, I'm not kissing Disney's ass. I don't plan on ever getting invited to anything. I don't care. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm having a good time and I'm spending time with my family. And if I can show a video of me and Tabitha and Kenzie eating this awesome new food, or dogging on a food that everybody said they loved and it's really disgusting, like that's our story. So, the people that like that kind of thing will find us, and the people that don't like that thing will continue to follow the influencers.
I love that. I love that. Josh, go for it, man.
I will say I've spent odd amounts of time watching Sean eat food on my television at weird times of the night.
That's hilarious. I love, and thank you. I appreciate it.
In your mustache. Get it, Sean.
Dude, that is the most embarrassing thing when I watch it back. I'm like, I have food on my face. I don't care. Whatever.
I just edited a reel of myself eating, and just doing this, my face on camera, my voice, like those are two of my biggest fears. So like then like myself eating is like that's like over the top.
It's not pleasant to edit, man. I tell you.
I'm sure it won't be pleasant to watch either. So stay tuned.
No.
So yeah, like I feel like as much as I want to like have a niche or a thing, it's changed so much. I'm coming up on 10 years of this Instagram account, and the first couple years was just like we'd go to Disney a couple times a year because we were living in the Bay Area at the time, and I just wanted a place to like leave the photos I took in case something happened to my phone or I ever switched to Android. Not that anyone would ever do that, but I literally was like, I want my Disneyland photos to live somewhere.
Yeah.
That's how it started. And then pandemic, we moved down here. To be very close to Disneyland was a major factor in where we wanted to move and why. And then it became like, oh, like this is something I can do with my toddler, my baby. And like, I wasn't seeing dads doing that.
Yeah.
And I still am not really. And then it became, oh, well, I have this opportunity to take this passion of mine and maybe have a little side hustle and, help people plan their trips because I love the details and learning what's new and, keeping track of all the news. So like, okay, now I do travel agency stuff. And that is a very much a roller coaster. And I'm glad it's not my only job because I'd be living on that bench across the street. But I love doing travel planning for people. So now I'm trying to balance not constantly trying to sell people on things because ultimately like my day-to-day is reliant on my full-time job that I have. The fact that I get to help people is like such a plus, both in how it makes me feel, but also, that it's a little bit of money on the side. Great. But I don't want to lose the fact that why I was enjoying this so much and why I love to go to the park so much is like to be with my kids. Now they're young enough where I'm trying to be mindful of how much they're on the internet, right? Like you won't hear me say their names. I try not to show their faces too much. If it's a picture of them, I'm going to be in it, or their mom's going to be in it, things like that. But I still want to be like known for being the Park Hop dad. And when I changed my name to that on Instagram a year ago or whatever, like I just felt like, okay, this is going to be my thing now. And I'm stoked on that because for the longest time, I'm just posting random photos and like, that doesn't really do anything for anyone. Not that what I'm doing now necessarily does either, but like, it's at least doing something for me.
There you go.
I enjoy it. I'm happy. So, yeah.
What about you, Austin?
Austin.
I've got to say that I'm right with you, Josh. Like, do I want this to be, I think the ultimate dream would be, this is my full-time job. I get to talk about Disney. But I thought in my life of like, what's consistent? What has been consistent my entire life? And Disney was at the forefront of that easily. And so I just thought one day I told my wife, I'm like, what do you think? Like, could I just make a podcast? And she's like, why not? So I had wrote down 52 topics, and I said if I could do a year's worth of content, then I'm going to launch this. And I wrote 52 topics down, and I probably have done 10 or 15 now. I'm still fairly new on this, but I think, it's led to some great things. Obviously, meeting you guys and now building what we're building. It's given me, something fun to talk about, something I can easily talk about all the time. And, it's something that I love this content. I love Disney. And so I think hitting that stipulation now that, men don't do Disney or grown-ass men don't do this and, dads don't do that we're breaking that stipulation. It just adds another fun factor to it.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the fact that we are the dads of Main Street. I just wanted to say that, drop it for us. And so I think that's super cool. So the reason why I started it was because I just wanted something that I love to talk about, whether it makes money or ever becomes anything. I still get to do something I enjoy. And I think that was ultimately what it is. And now I get to maybe live those experiences of talking about when my son experiences it. And then now I have like a audio and video recording of what's happening in my life at that time. Not that we don't like GoPro what he's doing and stuff like that, but like now I have a reflection of my thoughts during that time, and maybe I could see if I had growth or anything from that. But that's what made me start it.
Yeah, the video diary thing is something that I'm really enjoying. We've got memories that we can go and watch forever, and they're in an accessible place. To look at memories of my childhood, I have to go dig through boxes, and and I hate that. And so that I can, knowing that I can go back and look at our Instagram or find a video on YouTube and see the things that we were experiencing doing. That's my favorite thing right now. So
Absolutely.
Well, let's keep this this lighthearted portion going, and we're going to get into the lightning round. This is going to be a quick 4-round game where we choose a would you rather. So I'm going to start with Austin.
Okay, I'm ready.
Would you rather snack all day with no sit downs, or do one fancy meal but no snacks at all at Disney? Go.
Oh, damn it. Honestly, with no sit down, I'm snacking all day. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going straight for snacks. We're doing popcorn. That is my all-time favorite. I got to get a churro. I'm good with the pickle. I'm grabbing snacks. I'm good with that.
Josh, no sit downs or one fancy sit down, no snacks?
I think my answer is probably strictly because I live close and like I do enough snacking, and I have look at my bank statement. It's $7 Disney foods, $8 Disney foods, $5. It's like, oh man, that added up to a sit down. So I might as well like have a one enjoyable, calm, great plate of food. I would lean towards that only because I'm pretty lucky to be, if I want to go get a churro, tomorrow night I could, I guess.
Yeah. Follow up.
what's a
What would be
sit-down?
your one sit down? Yeah.
Say that again.
What would be your one sit down then?
What meal? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Dinner.
Oh,
Dinner.
You've been starving all day. You have one place you can go. Reservations are not an issue.
I know it's silly to say Blue Bayou because that's like that seems like the no brainer. I'll probably just say Carnation Cafe. Give me like a bowl
Nice.
of chili and
Yep.
a bowl of the baked potato soup.
Oh,
You
yes.
think those don't go well together, or you don't need both? You need both.
2 soup in it, man. You're
Try
good.
that.
Like
stud.
two
Try
soup.
that.
Like in the middle of summertime. Give me 2 hot bowls of soup.
Double soup, please.
Honestly, I'd probably say that. That might be my favorite meal.
All right, Marcus, you're on the other coast, so snacking all day or sitting down sitting down for one meal.
Well, us East Coasters, not to throw shade on you guys, but we get to refill our popcorn buckets for $2 at
That's
Walt Disney
true.
World.
That's true.
But our
Which
buckets are cooler.
I learned that the hard way. Like the lady was like, I was like, oh, we can get refills. She's like, you don't get refills here. I was like, honestly, it took me like 4 hours to recover from that, because that is like a staple. I mean, we will roll up to Walt Disney World with 2 popcorn buckets, and we will refill those things multiple times. So for me, I'm snacking. As much as I love a sit down meal, because again, sometimes it's nice to kind of get out of the noise of the park and have that moment where you can kind of just chill, have those moments. For me, I'm snacking. There's too many good foods. Like I'm just like, that's what I'm doing. I'm snacking. I like the idea of being able to kind of have just like me. I love split stays. I love just having little bitty like mini vacations, like here, mini vacation here. And I think snacks are like the perfect way to have like multiple different kinds of vacations, if you will.
You also have just a few more options than us on snacks. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Just
a
Yeah.
You do have a lot more. Yeah. I'll round that out, and I'm going to say the same thing. I'm snacking all day long because I can hit pickup windows like daisies and get a pizza flop over. I can run over and grab popcorn. I can get a pretzel. I can get a bowl of chili. I can get anything I want and just snack all day long. Though I will say, I would eat Plaza Inn on any day you ask me to.
Ooh.
So if anybody ever wants to do a Plaza Inn date, I'm in.
See you
All
there.
right.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for doing the lightning round with us. So let's talk about where we can meet everybody. So, Josh, where can we find you, and what are you working on?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Instagram. I had one successful TikTok video, but I wouldn't say I'm a TikToker by any means. The Park Hop Dad, and yeah, I'm just trying to document fun memories with my kids, and occasionally try and sell some vacation packages so other people can make some fun memories too. So if you ever need
Making
some
memories.
help booking a trip, I'm your guy.
Awesome. Marcus, where can we find you, buddy?
Yeah, so I'm at the Diz Dad Dude this week. I brought my big suitcase. I packed my ring light. I'm going to try to do a video where if Disneyland had a short conversation with Disney World, poking fun at what I think are maybe some of Disneyland's weaknesses and some of Disney World's weaknesses. So, no pulling punches, going at both of y'all. Also gonna do a reel this week as well, where I'm gonna be doing a swim dad or Disney dad at a swim meet. So I'm hoping to put both those out this week. So stay tuned for that.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. I would love to see the TSA agent go through my bag when he's scanning it, because like there are times where I have wigs. This time I legitimately bought a pen from home, like a cookie sheet from home. It's in my bag. So I'm hoping I can make that one day this week while I'm traveling. But yeah, that's what I got going on at the Diz Dad Dude.
That is dedication. That is that dude.
Is he
Austin.
undercover? What is
Yeah,
he?
right.
Yeah.
Austin, where can we find you, dude? What are you working on?
I am the host of the Magic of Mayhem podcast. I'm basically on anything: Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, to TikTok. I'm on everything. TMO_Mayhem. I cover pretty much anything about Disney. I actually didn't try to cage myself to just Disney. I've talked about Universal, just about theme parks, ideas, thoughts, anything that kind of I ramble on. And like Sean had said earlier, I'm just all about authenticity. If I don't like it, I'm going to let you know. So I definitely am like that. So come check it out, or come hang out with us here all the time, because this is where the party's at.
That's right.
All right, Sean, your turn.
Yeah, for sure. You can find us anywhere at Magic on Main Street. It's on my hat. It's really easy to read. We've got a YouTube, we've got podcasts, we've got Instagram. That's at Magic on Main Street Official. Something I've been putting a lot of work, though, into is costuming. I haven't done cosplay very much. I did some Star Wars stuff in the past, but I'm really putting a lot of focus into my Red Guardian cosplay. I just joined the West Coast Avengers Costuming Club. I'm doing a hospital visit this week. I'm really excited about it.
Wow.
Go see
awesome,
some kids and just put some smiles on faces. So if you want to follow me there, it's at real Red Guardian, because I am the real Red Guardian.
Exact replica, copy and paste
Exactly.
right there.
Wait, but Sean, is it Avengers with an S or a Z?
We've actually been putting a Z on our our banners and stuff because we are
Probably safer.
the new Avengers. The new Avengers. Alexei Shostakov, the Red Guardian, pride of Mother Russia. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. So that's it for today. Thanks for spending some time with us. If there's one thing that we really want you to take away from this episode, it's this: you're not alone. You don't have to carry everything by yourself. Check in with your people, be honest with where you're at, and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's strength. It's not weakness. If you found this episode to be entertaining or helpful, then share it with a friend that might need to see it or hear it. And please leave us a review, subscribe, hit that notification button. You can follow us on Instagram also at the Dads of Main Street. That's our name. We're really proud of it, and we're really stoked to be doing this. So from all of us here, Josh, Austin, Marcus, myself, I'm Sean. Stay kind, stay open, and remember, the magic works better when you bring your whole self with you. Thanks for listening to the Dads of Main Street podcast. We'll see you next time.
Later.